Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about who they, not who that, who they. That's the Cincinnati Bengals. And they're coming to town to take on the Tennessee Titans. So I figured I'd reach out to someone that may know just a little bit about the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm kidding. He knows a lot. But that would be Mr. Clarence Nixson. What's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for letting me on the show, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Just I would say feeling good, feeling great. But the Titans, they not feeling good, feeling great right now. Especially after that game this past weekend. Taking another Ohio team this week.
Yeah, I probably could say the same thing about the Bengals. Our game Monday night, it was just everybody just pray, like make sure Joe Burrow don't get injured. It was crazy, but we made it through.
Gotcha. We're going to get into that and more, talking about the Bengals and the Titans. But up first, I always have to get it off your chest segment. I could be talking about sports. I could be talking about football, basketball, whatever. But, for this episode, I think I'm going to dive on to the NBA court. There was some big news that happened. That would be Mr. Damian Lillard getting traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. He got traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Jrue Holiday goes to the Portland Trailblazers, which they are trying to trade him actively now from the Portland Trailblazers. Yusuf Nurkic goes from the Trailblazers to the Suns. DeAndre Ayton goes to the Trailblazers, so he's now one of the elder members of the Portland Trailblazers at this point. It was just a lot of movement going on. Oh, Grayson Allen goes to the Phoenix Suns too, by the way. So it's a lot of different movement that went on, some picks, things like that. But the main thing I got from this is Damian Lillard is going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, they are a contender. They were already a contender before he got there. Now they're, people are talking about them winning titles, things like that. And I get it, and I understand. But what I will say is you just lost an integral piece to your title team. That would be Jrue Holiday. Now, I understand that Damian Lillard is a better scorer than Damian Lillard. Than Jrue Holiday. I understand that. There's no disputing really of that. But what you miss with Jrue Holiday is you miss a guy that can guard point guards, shooting guards, small forwards. He's even guarded power forwards because he's a short guy in terms of the basketball sense, but he has a long wingspan. And that allows him to guard different people. He also picks up the offense in terms of picking up the point guard a little bit further down the floor, puts a lot of pressure. He basically is the point of attack guy. Now you swap him out with Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is not that guy. He can't guard four positions. He can't pick you up half court or beyond that. He's not going to do that because he's not that guy. That's not what he does. He surely can shoot it from like half court and beyond, but he's just not the guy to guard you defensively like that. So what I'm looking at is a team that got better offensively, but defensively it leaves some things to be desired. So I'm not jumping all in and saying that, hey, the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win the title and because Damian Lillard and the Greek Freak are together. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is I'm going to watch and see the defensive adjustments of this team because to me, Jrue Holiday covered up a lot of different things. So it's going to be interesting to see if those things get exposed or if the Milwaukee Bucks make adjustments. And also, by the way, Miami Heat, you didn't get Damian Lillard, but you could probably still get Jrue Holiday. So I think you might want to make that call in Portland. So, by the way, but I had to get that off my chest. Everyone's talking about titles and things like that for the Milwaukee Bucks, but I was like, hey, we got to temper that enthusiasm just a little bit. They still got to figure out how these things are going to work. Not offensively, but more defensively, in my opinion. You got any thoughts, man?
Yes. And consider that I'm a big Giannis fan. I thought this was golden. Like when we got Damian Lillard, I just feel like, we got better scoring on the offensive side, but the defensive side is still going to be a concerning because, like you said, Damian Lillard can't guard a point like half court, mid court. Like he's just one of them guys. Like, hey, like we just go shield him and we just go take care of the dirty work while you do all the scoring load. But I also believe that Like now, Giannis got a better scorer now. Like Dame is a better scorer than, like you said, than Drew Holiday. Now I think that offensively they got better. Now they can take the pressure off him. And this for Middleton, he can get start getting into his groove. He don't necessarily always have to take the second most shots. Like he's literally legitimately the third option on this team, though. I'm excited to watch him though, Mike, because Dame Dollar's in Milwaukee. Yeah, I'm already purchasing some tickets right now, so I'm trying to see what's going on with him, though. I'm excited Dame Dollar here. I love Drew. I love his defense tenacity he brought to the team, though. But Milwaukee they answered to Giannis, his answers. Like, hey, I want a better team around me. I want a championship. And they went to go get a player that's a top 10 player and say, hey, we bring him here. Now let's go get them championships.
We'll see what happens, but yeah, I've got my reservations, but hey, that's why they play the games, right?
Right.
Well, of course, I did go off the beaten path, talked a little basketball on a NFL show. I understand that. You want to talk the NFL, everybody, I understand. So we're going to jump over and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the 1-2 Cincinnati Bengals beat up on the LA Rams on Monday Night Football, which, they got the multicast of games, which that's another story in itself, and I'm definitely probably going to talk about that on another show. But the Bengals got it done. They didn't really have the super explosive plays that you're used to seeing from them. However, they just were consistent. The defense was all over Matthew Stafford, and the offense just made enough plays to make it happen. Of course, Joe Mixon got in the end zone as well. So, a few things happened, but they handled their business. Just to talk about the season so far, but we're gonna get into that season. But I have to ask about you, the Bengals, man. How did you become, the guy to know about the Bengals, man? How did you become that guy?
Well, it all started, it was like in 2004. Yeah, I was like 6 or 7 years old, and my mom, she used to just like every Sunday she would just watch Bengals games and stuff, through the band and stuff. I started watching the Bengals when Carson Palmer became the quarterback. I really didn't know much about the '90s and '80s and all that until like I started like following them like in 2003 actually. And ever since then, I just fell in love with them. We had live uniforms. We had a nice injury. We had Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco. He was the most exciting player in Cincinnati. Like the guy literally used to buy tickets for fans just to be there. Like he loved Cincinnati, and actually he used to just hang in Cincinnati like a regular dude. Like he just showed us love outside football, and I just fell in love with it. Like man, I'm a Bengals fan. Like Chad made me a Bengals fan, so I started following them. I started learning the game about it, Mike. Like just knowing the position, the penalties and stuff like that. Like after I started following love with the Bengals, like I just started following their schedules, their uniform schedules, injury reports. Like I love football. I love sports, and football is my number one priority because I was supposed to play football, but stuff happened, and I just stuck with just keeping up with sports, the stats, the team, the injury reports. Like I just fell in love with that whole process, and it just like I'm just happy like that I'm a diehard Bengals fan. So we went through some tough times. The 7 playoffs and the 7 years of no playoffs. Actually, 30 years, but I'm just happy that that we got a better team that we had. Like 2021, 2022 was actually the first time I seen a playoff win. That right there put tears in my eyes because I never seen one until that moment, and it's just a beautiful moment. I just hope we just build off of that though, because we got a nice team around us, and it just be good if a team like Cincinnati bring home a Super Bowl. I'm just tired of the empty showcases.
I hear you there. I hear you there. Now, I got to ask you, what is your most exciting moment being a Bengals fan, and what is your worst moment being a Bengals fan?
I think my most exciting moment is like the culture they brought into like the few years when they drafted Joe Burrow. They brought in Zach Taylor. Like the best moment is just watching them progress year after year. Like used to watch the Bungles. The Bungles just all messed up. They ain't have like that discipline in the team, and as they do right now. And I just like we needed discipline, and I just I'm just keep pushing it for it. Like yo, we need this discipline. We need better players around us. We need people that actually want to come play in Cincinnati. We need to make people believe. Like, and just the best moment, just watching them grow, winning a playoff game right there. Like that was one of the best moments of my life, though, Mike. Out of everything, just watching them beat the Raiders. The clock went 0-0. I wasn't at the game though, but I was just standing up in my mama house just all day. Like I couldn't sit down. That right there was like the best moment. Like although we made the Super Bowl, but actually seeing a playoff win and looking on that stat sheet, first time playoff win since 1990. That was just a beautiful moment. One of my best moments.
Gotcha. What's one of the worst ones, man? We gotta go. We gotta go. Best and worst. We can't just go best now.
Worst moments is when Mike Brown never used to pay the players that wanted to be there. Like you would just you would just be like, man, Mike, this guy is really good. Like, don't trade him for a bag of chips or anything. Like, this the guy that want to be here. He sees the growth in this team. If you don't pay this player right now, like we're doomed. And he let a couple players go. He was in control. He was just stuck in his old ways, and it just stressed me out. Like it was like you in a relationship with a girl. Like if she's doing something that you don't like you just be like, oh, like why can't you just don't do that? Like, and I just felt like somebody needed to knock some sense into him. And like I remember that one year, never forget this year, 2015. Bengals 8-0. Andy Dalton on fire. He got hurt against Pittsburgh. We had AJ McCarron, so he had to finish out the year. And we played the Steelers first round, and all that catastrophe just went down. Like seeing them hit that field goal, Mike, really made me sad. Like I was real life crying, like because we had it. That right there was one of the worst moments. Like seeing the Steelers win at home on our turf in prime time, like against us. I never forget it.
Got you. All right. Well, I want to kind of, get into, from transition from that and kind of learn a little bit of your background as a Bengals fan to talk about this season. Started out 0-2, won the first game, like we mentioned earlier, against the Rams. So, what do you think about what has gone down with the Bengals so far this year?
I think for the Bengals situations is they trying to weather, like see how far Joe Burrow can lead them. Although he's dealing with a calf injury, they like that's their number one concern. Like, look, all week I've been dealing with fans saying, "Oh, we should just shut down the season because we don't want to get rid of the investment. We paid all this money to him, Mike." And in my mind, I'm not thinking the same thing. I just felt like, in my opinion, I just felt like, yo, we paid this guy all this money. He's the highest paid player, like currently, and he needs to go out there and go out there and do something. I know people saying like calf injuries lead to Achilles though, but we paid him all this money to take us to the promised land. If he can, if he's good enough to throw a football and standing there, like he should be able to make it. I know it's selfish of me though, it really is though. But when you pay a guy all that money, you expect him to bring you some results. And that's what we're looking for in Joe Burrow. And everybody on the team has just been synced because he hasn't been synced. Like this guy never won. He always started off 0-2. Like all his time in Cincinnati, last 3 years, he started off 0-2. Like always having a rocky start, and he just never synced. Just never in sync though. But though, I feel like when we beat the Rams though, that let us know like, okay, this is what we working with, and now we got to work towards it. We got to improve though. And, we play your beloved Tennessee Titans. Like that's another team. Like we got to take advantage of their disadvantages and stuff. But I just think like you just got to keep an eye on Joe Burrow calf because how much movement he can do, and they need to get the run game going. Joe Mixon, he's having a good year. Although he's got 180 rushing yards and one touchdown, he's running the ball exceptional, breaking tackles and fighting for more yards though. I think this Bengals season though, we'll be just fine. Defense showing up, like they just balling out. They're saving our behinds though. The offense, we just got to get clicking though. And started off with the Rams. Now we on our way to Tennessee.
All right. One other question I did have for you. and you kind of addressed the struggles so far and what kind of led to those. But the defense
Yeah,
is playing especially good today, this year. I would say
yeah.
they're definitely playing physical. Now they played at a high level against the Rams. Now, can we expect to see that type of defense every game, or was it just them playing against the Rams and the Rams just getting one basted up front?
I just think, my opinion though, Mike, I just feel like we need to take advantage of offenses that are struggling to put up points on the board. And a team like the Tennessee Titans, like I know y'all haven't scored as much points. Like I don't think y'all scored over 21 points, if I'm correct. Like,
They have not scored. Well, actually, no. They did against the Chargers. They
okay,
scored over
yeah,
21 points.
but I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. Like, and I just feel like with the type of defense we had, we played against this guy. You remember in the divisional round,
Hmm.
that nightmare. And like Ryan Tannehill, he still say he has nightmares, but I just think like we just need to keep being consistent with the pressure. Henderson is our leading sack guy with 3 sacks. Jermaine Pratt always forced fumble. Logan Wilson is playing phenomenal, tackling and covering. And believe it or not, though, Dax Hill is the guy that's breaking out. That's the guy right there. I'm so proud of. He's the lead tackler, sack, interception. I just think that teams like the Tennessee Titans that they don't have much firepower, we should take advantage of that. Get them off the field earlier and let our offense work. I do wish they keep playing up to this standard though, but I truly believe though that they can definitely play up to it, up to par, above average, like they was last year. The run defense still needs working though, but I'm really loving our young secondary though. As long as we generate pressure, our young secondary is playing up and ready. I think this defense will be middle of the pack, sneak into a top 10 category.
Okay. All right. Well, definitely a lot of information. I will tell you that you know, the Titans do have the weapons, I would say the more the execution and things like that probably not going up to
Yeah.
par. But we're gonna take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're gonna dive a little bit more into that matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals. You're watching Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back. And like I mentioned before the commercial break, we're going to talk a little Bengals and Titans. Now, these two teams have seen each other the last couple of years. Of course, the Tennessee Titans had the number 1 seed a couple of years ago, 9 sacks, still left with an L. Then you come in next year, things didn't kind of work out the same way for the Titans either. So, third time with the last 3 years, Titans and the Bengals again. Now, before we get to that conversation, I do have to mention Trey Larkins has chimed in. I just want to kind of get to his comment in the Touring the AFC South inbox. He said beating the Rams without 2 of their offensive linemen and best player in Cooper Kupp makes you feel like the Bengals are back. He's directing that question towards you, Clarence.
I just feel like you take advantage of the disadvantage. And yes, Cooper Cup is out. Yes, he's their number 1 target though. But Puka, the new guy, Puka Nuka has took care of business. This guy had 11 catches and 15 catches in the first 2 weeks. Like, he was dominating for them. My only concern was for the Rams was their defense was suckish. Aaron Donald was only on their team, and they just playing with nobody's on that defense. So you have to take advantage of the disadvantage. Like we knew that the Rams they was gonna pass a lot though because they just feel comfortable with the rookies, with rookie Puka and Tutu. It hit me. So you got a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Matthew Stafford though. He at least put you at but like at least average, an average team though. They're not bad as everybody thinks though. But you take advantage of the disadvantage though. That's what you do. It's football.
Yeah, I hear you there. Yeah, the funny thing is, I didn't know that Puka's name. I didn't know his name was Puka. I thought people were mispronouncing his name. I was like, is that Pokemon? Is it Pokemon? But I apologize. It is Puka. I'm sorry. And then you have Puka and Tutu. And right there, that sounds like a combination right there. That's gonna give you problems. Just Puka and Tutu. Yeah, but I digress. Let's move on to the Bengals and Titans now. Offensively, the Bengals O-line has been, it's going to have their hands full. You have a Jeffrey Simmons, you have a Danico Autry, you have a Harold Landry, Arden Key, Rashad Weaver. I mean, I could go on. Tierra Tart, I like to call Tierra Tart Sweet Feet because in the middle of that line, he can definitely make you miss in the window booth. So, definitely, in a phone booth, I should say, not a window booth. But anyway, you've got that. So the Bengals offensive line has their work cut out for them. Are you a little concerned with all those two guys or those guys that they have up front that can cause a lot of problems, especially for a slightly immobile Joe Burrow?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. One thing about the Titans though, they like to just hit you with stunts on the line. So you don't know what's coming, which like some could be coming inside, some could be out though. But my main, like one of my like matches I'm gonna be watching, I'm gonna see like Harold Landry versus like Orlando Brown. Can we see like, hey, is we get our money's worth with this guy? I don't know as much as he lines up over there as much of the time though, but he's gonna be moving around. Him and then Jeffrey Simmons though, he's just a dominant like D tackle though. So them two guys, if those guys generating pressure, yeah, we might have our work cut out though, Mike. But I got faith in Cincinnati though. Like as you see, like Cordell Wilson he posted a 0.0 pass blocking grade against the Rams. Like, it made you concerned, like, hey, can you block Jeffrey Simmons too? Like, so so you're just gonna be having a lot of questions in the air though. And Jonah actually played good against the Rams too, though. But if those two guys, Harold Landry, and Jeffrey Simmons Jr. generate pressure, man, I just think Joe Burrow's gonna be in a lot of trouble though. But I think we got our work cut out though, so it's gonna be interesting to see them both. Like
one guy would say you definitely got to keep your eye on, and you didn't mention him, but it's Danico Autry. That guy's been probably the most value pick or value signing in Titans, one of the best value signings in Titans history, in my opinion, because no one was looking at him when he left Indianapolis. Titans signed him, and he has been invaluable to that defensive line. I think him and Jeffrey Simmons are probably one of the best combinations of tackles in the NFL. And the thing that's crazy about him is he can line up at outside linebacker too. So he can also line up at a 3-4 outside linebacker and a tackle on him. So the thing is, I mean, you could see him, you could literally see him moving around everywhere on this defensive line as well. So, that'll be interesting to see the matchups and see, the twists and the stunts. And the one thing I'll tell you is if you have Autry and he's doing a twist or a stunt, always look for him to split that stunt. Because like if it's a guard and a tackle and they're doing the stunt and they basically he's the rub guy, he's the screen guy. You know how you slip a screen in basketball? He'll slip the screen. He'll slip that screen in the NFL, and that's how he got a sack one time against the Saints. He literally set the screen for Jeffrey Simmons or I'm sorry, Harold Landry, split it, made the sack right there because literally they were worried about the guy going around, left a little room, and he wiggled right through there and made the tackle, made the sack. So yeah, that guy right there, I enjoy watching him play. But I digress. Let's go to the next one. Now, do you in this last game, the Bengals, they kind of, with their wide receivers, they got a lot of high-powered weapons. T. Higgins, we know he can get on track at any time. He's not necessarily having the greatest year catching the football. But, other wide receivers have had good games against the Titans kind of to date right now. But do you expect them to just Joe Burrow and the calf injury, and then trying to keep him upright. Do you expect them to kind of take the little short things and things like that, and then maybe try a few over the top, or do you expect them to kind of fully test this Titans defense, who, by the way, is giving up a lot of explosive plays in every game they've been in?
I just think that first of all, you gotta trust the you definitely gotta trust the medical staff though, because the medical staff tells it all of how he be able to move and what type of percentage he's at, and that right there, like actually Joe Burrow, he only threw one. We only had really one explosive play this season.
Mm-hmm.
That was the bootleg, fake bootleg, and threw it to Chase. That was probably our only explosive play for real during the season. So I just think that you just got to go through your mainly routines with him. Test it out and pregame, warm up, and you just see like how's he feeling. If he's feeling well, he's gonna give you possibly a game like he did with the Rams, or if he can at least scoot over or do some play action, like he should be fine though. But like you said to our receivers, like T Higgins, he caught 10 catches out of 28 targets. I feel like he's not T Higgins though, because I don't know if he let on the contract stuff get to him though. He's just not in sync. And Jamar Chase, he has no touchdown this season though. So I see how bad he wants it on the touchdown. Tyler Boyd will always be Tyler Boyd, Mr. Slot guy. So he wants to get involved as well though. I just think, if Burrow is in sync and he's fine enough to move around, the receivers gonna follow him. But Burrow mobility really concerns me because we playing against a real talented defensive line in the Tennessee Titans. So we have to scheme up against you guys to see like how can we beat them? Like take what the defense give you, and Joe Burrow calf is basically another big story for us.
Definitely. Now, I did, throw a few things out there. And, I know one thing that you can do to neutralize a defensive line like the Titans is, the quick game, the three-step drops, put them in shotgun, getting rid of the football quickly, the short pass, the bubble screens, the slants, things like that. But, how big will the running game be in this game to kind of neutralize the Titans' defensive line?
Well, like you said, the Nico Autry, aka Sweet Legs, like he just know how to shoot the gaps and create blow up holes. And you got Jeffrey Simmons. So I just think like we just gotta be smart when we run in the football. Like we need to switch it up, a little bit more, like get more misdirections or off. Like I feel like we should really stay away from the inside zones because that's what y'all these tackles don't expect. Yeah, them guys are like wrecking it. Like them y'all are really a good defensive guy. I just think if we can attack the outside zone more, I think we'd be just fine though. But we definitely gotta get the run game going. Take pressure off Joe Burrow. He can't throw 49 attempts again. Like he should be able to throw at least like no more than 35 attempts. So he shouldn't be throwing a lot when you got a good solid top 10 running back behind you. Like Joe Mixon needs to like be getting force fed at this point though, because he's important in this game, I feel like, because without no run game, there's no offense.
Mm-hmm. I hear you there. Now we're going to switch over to the defense. Of course, the defense of the Cincinnati Bengals, who gave the Rams some problems, and I'm pretty sure they're looking at this offensive line of the Tennessee Titans and kind of licking their chops a little bit just based off the last couple games. If you didn't see the Cleveland game, run it back. It was a rough one for the Titans, especially one gentleman, that being Mr. Andre Dillard. Now, Andre Dillard was a free agent they brought in for Philadelphia. He's kind of struggled with the power that people have kind of thrown at him. The finesse, things like that. He doesn't really struggle with that as much, but the power, the bull rush, he's kind of struggled a little bit with that over, the start of the season, especially against Myles Garrett, which Myles Garrett is otherworldly rushing the passer anyway. But Hendrickson definitely comes with the power when he rushes. So it's going to be an interesting battle in there. Do you see that offensive line of the Tennessee Titans taking kind of trying to stymie them, or do you see them having a tough time and maybe having to kind of shift the line, things like that, to kind of compensate for that Bengals defensive line?
I think I think if they also like do like three steps and quick screens and all that, that can take our offensive line off rhythm and stuff though. But we should be able to take advantage of the disadvantage on the line though, because Andre Diller gave us the proof of how you beat them. You just said if we just can power rush him, we can get to Ryan Tannehill. As much as we generating pressure, I truly believe like this game could be like in our hands though. I don't expect a blowout, but I expect a tight one though. Like because the Bengals are struggling on offense, they still figuring out themselves. But for this defense, they are the most important. Like especially this defensive line in that front seven. If we can cause pressure, take advantage of the disadvantage on that line, we'll be just fine. Like Jermaine Pratt, he loved tackling Derrick Henry, Mike. So we gonna be ready for that. We gonna be ready for King Henry. Well, Prince Henry. That's what we say in Cincinnati.
Ooh, okay. Well, I will say this. I'm gonna still call him King Henry because I seen the man in person, and I'm not gonna call him Prince Henry. But as far as Derrick Henry, I will say that he hasn't necessarily ran the ball as much. And last game, I mean, the Browns were all over him the entire game.
Yeah.
He couldn't really get going. And this game, I kind of wonder if he's going to come out with a little bit of an attitude in this game and try to get over 100 yards against the Bengals. Because, I mean, if I'm correct, I don't think he's ran for 100 yards against the Bengals. So this could potentially be the game. We'll see what happens. But the biggest thing is he's got to be effective in this game to kind of help alleviate a few things with this offense. Now, I will tell you, in all three games, in two of the three games, there has been some deep passes that have happened from Ryan Tannehill to either Chris Moore or Traylon Burks or, of course, DeAndre Hopkins. So that is something I would say the Bengals may want to worry about because those three guys, even if there's a small window, they find ways to make plays. I mean, especially Chris Moore. Chris Moore went over the top of a guy and caught him fast. And he's doing a few things. He's done that twice in two games. So he's making the most of his opportunities. So, does that kind of worry you? The deep the deep ball for the Titans? Does it kind of worry you a little bit, especially with the young DBs?
I mean, honestly, of course, though, you got young DBs out there. They're still learning. And you wait for them to break out, and then you bringing in a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, a route runner specialist. Like he's just gonna be lined up everywhere, and they just need to know where he's at. And Traylon Burks, like he's a big body receiver though, so you just gotta like put a body on him. So I just think they should be doing their homework as well because if Ryan Tannehill has enough time to get the pass to them, like it can really get dangerous though. We've seen in the past in the division round. He threw a deep pass to AJ Brown. It was a beautiful pass though because he had time. And with this team he got now though, they can really like get something shaken with these guys. But you got guys that you can just line up anywhere. And I used to be a big DeAndre Hopkins fan. If he just can play like the times he was in Houston, leading into Arizona, I think it would be real scary though. Like if y'all get him going, that right there, I'll be like, okay, I'm really worried about it though. But I got trust in my guys though. They're young, but they're getting better each and every game though, and they should be aware of the receivers on that Tennessee Titans team. Like it ain't just they're a run football team guy. Nah, they got some weapons on that team that we need to pay close attention to though.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you that one thing I noticed from game 2 to game 3. Game 2, play action pass. That's how they went deep. Game 3, they just lined up and chucked it. So. I was like, okay, that's a little different. It was a little different because you're just not used to seeing that from the Titans. So what I would say is lean more towards game 2. If the run gets going or even has a hint of getting going, then you can look for that play action deep bomb because Tim Kelly's probably dialing it up. I could probably see it. But, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. It's definitely going to be some teams that are lacking in some aspects and great in some aspects. And it's just to see which team can take advantage of those opportunities when they develop. But we have reached the end of the show, but we have not reached the end of the show. We have a game. We have 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. First one we got. Since Usher is the opening act for the halftime act for the Super Bowl. You got to pick one. 8701 Confessions. Which album are you taking?
God, 8701.
Ah, okay. All right. There's people gonna be mad at you, man, because you know they can say Confessions is better, but hey, you know, you gotta pick
8701
what you
has
love,
some
man.
hits. Yeah, 8701 has some hits though.
All right. Now we're gonna go with wide receivers in Cincinnati lore. We're gonna go AJ Green or Chad Johnson. You have to pick one wide receiver. Which one you taking?
Goodness, like I love Chad Johnson though, but my love is gonna shock some people. Like I love the AJ Green though. He was just a huge deep threat for Cincinnati. He just he came in, put in the work every year, 7 straight Pro Bowls, like, and I just fell in love with AJ. Like AJ made me believe, like, hey, y'all can win playoff games. Like it's me, it's AJ Green. I know I'm gonna have some people like what, but AJ Green is my favorite.
All right. You got a team you got to cheer for one game. It's Pittsburgh or Baltimore. Which team are you cheering for?
Baltimore. I can't stand Pittsburgh though. As much as I respect them, I can't stand them. When they come in town, I just be like, oh man, I cheer for Baltimore because I like Lamar though. I can't. I like Pickett too though, but I'm not cheering for the Steelers.
Got you. Now we got another question for you, little baby. We got In a Minute or we got Drip Too Hard. Which song you rolling with?
In a Minute. I feel like that's my motivation song right there. You know, if I got a lot on my mind, I play In a Minute, and you know, I get my mind right.
Okay. All right. And if you had to go to one city to visit the AFC South between Houston or Nashville, which one would you go to visit? Just to visit, not to watch a game, anything. Just to actually visit, hang out, see the sights, everything.
Well, I already went to Houston before. It was amazing. I went this year though, but I will definitely choose Nashville because I heard Nashville got some bombing barbecue. Like, and I heard they got some good food. There's good people down there, and I like that southern feel down there. I'll definitely choose Nashville.
All right. You know, of course, you know we do have the National Museum of African American Music down here too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you know we do have 4 HBCUs in one city, which nobody knows that either. So. Yeah, and 3 of them are on the same street, which is Fisk, Meharry, and Tennessee State. They're all on Jefferson Street in Nashville, by the way. So yeah, they're all within like a mile of each other.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Just taught you a little something there. But hey, we've reached the end of 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. I want to thank you for coming on the show. If you can, tell everyone where they can find you on social media, what all you have going on. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mike. And y'all can find me on Facebook as my actual name right here on the platform, Clarence Nixson. And then for my Instagram and Twitter, it's Sports Guy Jado. I'm always on there. I'm starting to get on TikTok as well. You can add me, Jado Bless, on TikTok. I'm always on there dropping sports content, sharing, making videos. I edit videos, and I just love, you know, all the love that come across me though. So make sure y'all guys add me. If y'all got any questions about any sports, you can email me, DM me. Whatever. As long as it's about sports. Nothing else. Nothing else.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Everyone, thank you all for listening to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. Of course, you can find Touring the AFC South on YouTube. Hello, everybody. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find Touring the AFC South. Also, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePaton 82. Of course, the artist formerly known as Twitter. That's a shout out to, of course, Prince. You know, if you know, basically. You can find me on Instagram and you can find me on Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. And of course, I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out. Peace.